yeah, yeah. I like a guy who's sweet like a coffee or French toast, though I'm Haitian. I like a guy who can see and can please me completely, no expectations. I want the guy who can see me and treat me and know that he must be patient. For your practice, I know you need me, doctor. I really want a brother. Your test easy. And by the time it's time, I'll be passing with flying greens and all the other colors from every season. And this is countryside, can never recipe for treason. Like you got me here, you got me here, you got me, yeah, you got me, yeah, you got me, yeah. I do not care, he does not care, we do not care. Life is not fair. Make me say yeah, make me say yeah, baby. Stretch, baby, don't stress, baby. Jealous, maybe, when us they see together, together. Like I already told you one time, I already told you one time. Like you got me here, 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 you got me here. No, I do not care, he does not care, we do not care. Life is not fair, just make me say yeah. Okay. Yeah. For real. Okay. For real. For real. For real. He said you're so attractive, well, I got magnesium. Miss Laska was a squirrel up on
What's going on, everyone? This is the Mac Roberts back again with another NBA 2K21. Not 2K21 list. High key, super sold. Everything, little, like I said, usually I test everything before I drop, and today 2K was like, nah, fam, it is what it is. You just gonna have to deal with it. But getting myself together. You guys see what it is. It's a tier list. I talked to my peoples. My people said, look, bills got to be paid. You got to do YouTube stuff. And in order to do YouTube stuff, what do you need to do? You need to do all the YouTube trends. So, here I am doing YouTube trends. And, yeah. So, we've got every number one pick since 1981. I'm actually going to move my head because my head is actually pretty large in the actual little thing. Make me a little smaller. Okay, so we've got a bunch of different little tabs. The tiers are as follows. GOAT tier, legit Hall of Famer. That's people who aren't necessarily in that GOAT tier. There are only really like 3 or 4 GOAT tier guys. Legit Hall of Famers are people who are in the Hall of Fame and deserve to be in the Hall of Fame or aren't quite in the Hall of Fame yet and will eventually get there. That's what legit Hall of Famer is for. And borderline Hall of Famer is those guys who step down, not quite Hall of Fame level, step down. Barbershop All-Star. Barbershop All-Star is actually an interesting one. A barbershop all-star is somebody who, if you went into the barbershop right now, they would defend with their life. With their life. Like, they're like, nah, deadass, this guy's the GOAT for whatever reason, however they feel. By all means, go in with that. And then you've got your solid player, which is just a regular solid player. Your guys who were number one picks and they were serviceable. And the tier below that is players that 2007 Eddie Curry could beat. Now, players that 2007 Eddie Curry could beat is everybody that I feel are or is so bad that 2007 Eddie Curry, who averaged 19 points per game that season, but just on a regular year, he's just really trash. He could beat that player. So we're going to start from the back end, so the 80s. We're going to work our way forward. So first player we have up is going to be Mark Aguirre, first round pick of the 1981 draft. He was a Mav. He then won with the Pistons. He was really good friends with Isaiah Thomas, and he was a solid player. But is his tier good enough to be either solid player, barbershop all-star, borderline Hall of Famer? I actually think that he is a barbershop all-star. And the reason why is because when you look at Mark Aguirre's career and you look at the numbers, I'm actually going to pull up the numbers real quick, just off grip. What's good, Scott? Mark Aguirre's numbers. Let me get this over here so I can see, because I can't see. Okay, so if you look at Mark Aguirre's numbers, he averaged for his career 20 points per game, 5 rebounds, 3.1 assists. He didn't play defense, and he was an inefficient scorer. Like, he never, like, as a forward, never scored over 50% from the field. But if you knew anybody who watched Mark Aguirre, or if you heard him play, whatever, even when he was in Dallas, they were like, yo, Mark Aguirre, he's the bomb. People would have gone to bat for Mark Aguirre. So I'm putting him in the barbershop all-star category. So he's our first player, barbershop all-star. Next is Ralph Sampson. Now, Ralph Sampson he's a big what if. He was drafted in 1982. He played with Hakeem Olajuwon. They formed the Twin Towers, and he's actually in the Hall of Fame. But let me get my actual complete accolades out so that I could get it. Yeah, he's actually in the Hall of Fame. 4-time All-Star, All-Star MVP, All-Rookie Team, All-NBA. He was the better player when him and Hakeem played, but injuries really derailed his career, and he ended up playing his prime a lot. His prime ended a lot sooner than it probably should have, but when he was in his prime, he was a monster. He's a what-if guy, and if he wasn't legit injured, he probably would be in the legit Hall of Famer category. I've got 6-7 solid seasons from him. His 4 in Golden State, or 5 in Houston, and then 1 in Golden State. He's a budget Kareem, Scott said. He's a budget Kareem. That is actually pretty accurate. I don't know if I want to put him in the borderline Hall of Fame career category, just because, yes, he had a great 3-4 run stretch. He took the Rockets to the finals, but was it good enough to be borderline Hall of Famer? Like, he was a 4-time All-Star. I think that I'm actually going to put him in the barbershop All-Star. What game am I playing? What's going on, Chris? Welcome to the chat. I'm not playing any game except for me putting number 1 picks in a tier. That's the game I'm playing today. Number 1 picks going in the tier list. And I'm having fun and I'm enjoying it. It was one of those things that I just kind of needed to do. Or not really kind of needed to do. I just wanted to do. I just had fun with it. Just kick back from all the games that I've been playing. So let me actually make him a little smaller. Okay. Next is Hakeem Olajuwon. Now, you're not going to get any argument from me. 1984 NBA draft, first round pick, was selected above Michael Jordan, John Stockton, and Charles Barkley. And legit, you could say that was still a good pick. Hakeem Olajuwon. You have Chris Rogers said he has 13 dunk packages with my Miles Bridges build. Oh, so you maxed out. You maxed it out. Cool. Yeah, Hakeem Olajuwon, 1984 first round pick, was selected by so many actual legit Hall of Famers, and he's probably like top 10 all time. You can make that argument. You could even make it as high as top 5. He's the all-time block leader, like Scott said, and this is in a league. He and Dikembe Mutombo played the exact same time. He predated Dikembe by about 10 years or 7 years. But at the end of the day, I think that Dikembe's career is more known for being a shot blocker. He's number one. Hakeem is number one. That's how great he is. And was a consistent lockdown threat. He was a hooper. He's going in the GOAT tier. He's like top 3 center all time for me. Let me make him a little smaller. Scott has him 7 or 8 all time. Cool. Tiny Hakeem. Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing is interesting. He's an interesting case. Pretty much because of his actual team, not of anything he actually personally did. And here's what's crazy about his entire career. If he beats Hakeem Olajuwon, like his team beats the Rockets in the 1994 NBA playoffs, he's in the GOAT tier. That is legit. Like that's how polarizing he is. But because he didn't, and then he had the injury issues, non-clutch factor, X, Y, and Z, people have him as low as the borderline Hall of Famer, but you're not going to talk me down from this. He is a legit Hall of Famer, and he may actually even, like, you could argue, I'll argue he's in the GOAT tier. I'll go to bat with Patrick Ewing. He may actually be in the GOAT tier for me because he's 11-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA, 3-time All-Defensive Team, and he was the Rookie of the Year in '86. But from 85, 86, his rookie season, to 98, he was giving out 20 points per game and was at least 20 points per game. He was leading the Knicks. He was legitimately the best player for the Knicks until he got injured in like the later Knicks runs when they made the finals run in '99. And then he wasn't, Allen Houston kind of stepped up. And William Hoare said he is borderline. He was really good, but no chips. And Chris Rogers said that he thinks that Julius Erving is in his family. We'll get back to that one. Why do you think that that Ewing is borderline Hall of Fame though? I'll put him in the GOAT tier. I'm willing to go the fight for the GOAT tier for Patrick Ewing because he played. You put Ewing in any other era, he's winning a ring. Legit, you put him in the 80s, he's winning a ring. Like if he gets drafted in 75 instead of 85, he's winning a ring. You draft him in 95 instead of 85, he's winning a ring. I think that it was really bad timing, and he's kind of like, he's in that area of like Clyde Drexler is in the same type of boat where if you put him in, like I said, he came 10 years too late. For me, I don't have that lack of chips case. I'm personally not going to go for it. But if you were to tell me that he wasn't in the GOAT tier, fine. I will actually end up putting him in the GOAT legit Hall of Famer tier though, only because he did not get that ring. Now I know what I just said. But like I'm thinking about the rest of the players who are number one overall. You got Shaq, you've got plenty of players. He's actually a step below them, talent-wise. Chris Rogers said he thinks that Dr. J is in his family. So me and my friends were actually talking about Dr. J like a week or so ago. Dr. J is like 70 years old, and he probably still could beat 2007 Eddie Curry. Like, no problem. Prog, what's good, bro? I'm the GOAT. I'm not the GOAT. I'm not the GOAT. Yo, I always say, they love you till they don't love you. I appreciate the support, though. For real, for real. All right, James Worthy. James Worthy is a borderline Hall of Famer. I don't care. I'm fighting everybody who says it. He's a borderline Hall of Famer. He's not a legit Hall of Famer, as in like maybe like a top 25 all-time player. He's not GOAT tier. And here is the reason why. Dominique Wilkins. And this is actually completely personal for me. Dominique Wilkins being left off the top 50 all-time players is because of James Worthy. And the reason why I say that is because James Worthy got to play with Magic Johnson. If you put James Worthy and Dominique Wilkins and you swap them, he is legit like I feel like, first of all, the success the Hawks have, and it wasn't anything like extraordinary, like they weren't like finals team players, but I feel like they don't have that same type of success with James Worthy. Williams said that he's literally Lakers Scottie Pippen, except that Scottie Pippen was a better player. I feel like James Worthy was never a defensive all-star. Like he was really a one-dimensional player. He was great at offense. He was great at running the break, and he could step up and make those really good clutch plays. He is a very good hooper. He's not in that legit Hall of Famer GOAT tier category to me, at least. I know that he's a top 50 player of all time. Fine. He's a borderline Hall of Famer to me. That's my opinion. That's what I'm gonna go to war for. What position do you play? I play point guard. I played, being that I'm 6'1", I didn't play like a lot of organized ball, but like when I play with my friends and everything, I'm usually a big man because I'm just a taller, like either like a forward or center type thing. That's usually what it is. So yeah, James Worthy to me though, borderline Hall of Famer. Danny Manning. All right, Danny Manning is he still the Clippers front office guy? Like is he still in the Clippers front office? Let me Google that real quick, because I'm actually not sure about that. Also, if my voice sounds a little hoarse, you guys have to excuse me. It's been really like that since Friday. Okay, he's the assistant coach for Maryland. Cool. All right. Yeah, Danny Manning was a sort of stretch big, and he played a couple seasons with the Clippers. Those really bad Clippers teams, but he was also a two-time All-Star and the 97-98 Sixth Man of the Year. He had a solid career. Like if you look at the 1987. What year was he taking? 1980. James Worthy is actually out of order. That's actually what messed me up. James Worthy was, I had it in order and it wasn't. He was the 1986 or 1987, 1988. Oh yeah, so yeah, they're wild out of order because David Robinson is definitely 87. Facts. Okay. Appreciate that, Grant Wolf. I have him out of order, so I'm actually gonna. Well, since he's already up here, I'm going to talk about just the players who was taken below him. Rick Smits played with the Pacers. He was the big man, the Dutchman. Really good center. Mitch Richmond, The Rock. Like, if I'm looking at the players taken below them as well, and if in a redraft, would you take Danny Manning over Mitch Richmond or like Dan Marley? Probably not. But he was solid. He was a solid player. I don't think that he was ever barbershop all-star. I think that he had a solid career. His career was solid. Make him a little smaller, because Danny Manning had a solid career. solid career for Danny Manning. Statistically, Pippen and Worthy are comparable, and also don't forget Worthy won Finals MVP in 1988, and Pippen never did. The difference between Pippen and Worthy, though, is that Scottie Pippen, I've seen Scottie Pippen has been best player on the team unequivocally. 1994 is really what separates Scottie Pippen from James Worthy. When James Worthy won his Finals MVP in 1988, he was the best player. But that's like saying Andre Iguodala is a better player than Scottie Pippen because he won a Sixth Man of the Year. Am I going to do current players? Number one pick since 1981. I got them all. The 90s are there, the 2000s are there, and the 2010s are there as well. They're all there. We gotta get through the older guys first, and then we gotta get to the newer guys, Scott. But yeah, he's a solid player. David Robinson, the Admiral. I feel like in retrospect, like as a Spurs fan, he's in GOAT tier for me. I personally would put him in GOAT tier, but I think that he is a legit Hall of Famer. He was an MVP. He had the pettiest scoring title win over Shaq. And pull up his stats real quick. Career stats of 21 points, 10 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and 3 blocks a game. You said quad dub, got to give him GOAT tier. Here is my reasoning behind it. And like, I may actually put him in GOAT tier. My thing is that in the playoffs, David Robinson would consistently you would see that he's getting outplayed. And that's a little bit different with Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing never really looked like he was getting outplayed by guys like Rick Smits or Bill Cartwright. Like, David Robinson got outplayed by Hakeem. He got outplayed something crazy. And like, they just weren't clutch. And then when Tim Duncan came, formed the Twin Towers, then they obviously won. But 10-time All-Star and 10-time All-NBA. I think, all right, so no. All right, no, I'm capping. I'm capping a little bit. If I was gonna play around and give Patrick Ewing the borderline GOAT tier, I have to give David Robinson actual GOAT tier because he did get it done. I think David gets overlooked being a Spurs because Duncan was way better. I wasn't even taking a look at his Twin Towers Duncan Robinson years. I was talking about when he was the guy with Sean Elliott and when he had played in the 90s. Then Dennis Rodman was his power forward 4-year, Terry Cummings. It never really seemed like he was super, like he never, like in the playoffs, he never seemed super dominant. And that's kind of like what it is. Do I have Hawks or Bucks? I have, after last night's game, I have the Bucks. I've been saying the Bucks, and the way Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis and Drew Holiday dismantled the Hawks, I have them if Trae Young does not come back. Asterisk. That's my asterisk there. If Simmons is traded for D'Lo, I'm no longer a T-Wolves fan, and I'm gonna join the Hornets. Is that being recorded? Is that being reported, and I just completely didn't realize it? Because I don't remember hearing about that report. But if he's being reported as being traded, yeah, I wouldn't do that trade either. And when I get to Cat on Karl Anthony Towns, I'm actually going to talk about the whole situation with that. Got it done with Duncan. He did get it done. He got the ring. As I'm talking about it, I was, as a Spurs fan, I didn't want to be like super impartial and be like, oh, he's GOAT tier off grip. But really he is. So he's GOAT tier. He joins the dream, and that's as a Spurs fan, that makes me happy. I may actually, depending on how we go, Ewing may also get bumped up, but for right now, he's in legit Hall of Famer. So now we go into Brad Daugherty. He was drafted to the Cavs, played with Mark Price, Larry Nance. Injury issues really messed up his career. Those late 80s Cavs, though, super underrated. And if not for Michael Jordan, and you're like, I feel like that's a consistent thing. If not for Michael Jordan, he would be looked at, and like health issues, obviously, he'd be looked at much better and much more fondly. But he did end up having a really unhealthy career, especially in that tail end. But you look at his stats from 86 to 94, he has career averages of 19 points, 9.5 rebounds, 3.7 assists. I think that Pistons back in the Pistons at least won it. But yeah, they're underrated for a different type of reason though. I think that I may have to put him in the I was gonna say the top of solid player. Oh wait, no, he's a 5-time All-Star. He's a barbershop All-Star. OD. He was an All-Star 5 different years. Yeah, he's a barbershop All-Star. I was gonna put him at the top of solid player. Bottom of barbershop All-Star. He's a barbershop All-Star. He's a 5. He's a 5-time All-Star. You know, he had the crazy post work. He was legit. And if you don't believe me, go watch some old school Cavs clips. ART. What ART? I don't know what that means. Oh, because they were main cause of his injuries. That's fair too. That they beat up on him a lot. I thought you were talking about as far as underrated goes. But yes, they were a large part of his injuries as well. Never nervous, Pervis Ellison. Okay, so Pervis Ellison had a lot of injuries, and he was drafted by the Clippers. No, he was drafted by the Kings, excuse me. And you see he's in the Wizards jersey because he was so injured his rookie season that they traded him his rookie season to the Bullets. Did I have too many L's? Yeah, too many L's. Okay, so he was, he played with the Bullets, and he dropped 20 points per game 1 year with the Bullets. The year he won Most Improved, but I mean, he was a big injury liability, and he never, outside of one season, he played more than 70 games one season. He, talent-wise, I would put him in solid player, but you guys actually saw the very last tier, and I'm gonna talk about that tier. Yeah, I'm gonna put him in players that 2007 Eddie Curry could beat. He's the first one, purely due to his injuries. And that's all the 80s guys. The 80s guys are pretty, it was a all over the place type of decade as far as number one picks go. So now we're going to take a look at Derrick Coleman. Now, Derrick Coleman is 100% barbershop all-star. I feel like if you go to a barbershop in the am I taking the college career into account, strictly NBA? He was really good in college, and that's the reason why he was the number one pick. But I'm taking just NBA into account. Because if we're taking college career, then of course Ewing actually just jumped straight up to the GOAT tier because his career in Georgetown was great. And Brad Daugherty's career at UNC brings him up to borderline Hall of Famer. We're talking strictly in the NBA. Their translation in the NBA. What did they do since number one draft pick? Derrick Coleman is 100% a barbershop all-star. And when he was on the Nets, he played with Kenny Anderson, and he played with Drazen Petrovic for a few seasons as well. And his post work, crazy, like legit. Like his post work was something mean. And he's one of those players that if you went into a barbershop in the 90s and talked about him, you'd be like, yo, nah, like he's like Patrick Ewing. Like he'll be Patrick Ewing, he'll be like Hakeem. He just needs a better team around him. And I mean, he did have the offensive capabilities. Like he was legitimately scary. I'm putting him at the end of Barbershop All-Star, and if he had better effort and better conditioning, especially once he got into the later parts of his career, he would legit be, he could have been a Hall of Famer. Like he had that talent. It was just he didn't apply himself. And it's all unfortunate, but at the end of the day, that's why he's in the Barbershop All-Star. Now we take a look at Larry Johnson. Now Larry Johnson is top 25 coolest players ever. Like I'll go to war with that. He had that swagger. He looked like he had the gold tooth. He played for one of the coolest teams in the 90s or the late 80s, early 90s, UNLV Running Rebels. Crazy. Like with Stacey Augmon, with Greg. I'm completely drawing a blank. Yeah. Why am I drawing a blank? Anyway, but yeah, he played on UNLV Running Rebels, and those teams are really great. And also when he was in the NBA, he was really great. If Hakeem was in this era, he would be the GOAT. Yeah, I mean, but that's not saying much. Like if Ewing was in this era, he'd be the GOAT. The way that the game is played, if you're a big man with a mid-range and a really good post game, and you can play defense, Greg, you could legit be a GOAT. So that's but you can't really compare eras that way. I wouldn't really compare eras like that. What's going on, Harrison lady? How you doing today? I feel I hear the hoarseness like in my voice, like in my headphones, and it's kind of bugging me out a little bit. But yeah, we're just having a tier list. We're not playing any games today. We're just talking drafts. I think I may add an extra tier to this, an extra requirement to the judgment. And this is a more so an in retrospect thing. So you look at I'm gonna look at the rest of the draft, and is there a player taken ahead of them that would really justify that number one pick? So with LJ, he was taken number one overall over guys like Kenny Anderson, Dikembe Mutombo, Steve Smith, Terrell Brandon, who was really good on the Timberwolves, Dale Davis, who was the quote-unquote Davis brother with Antonio Davis on the Pacers, and Chris Gatling, who infamously got dunked on by Sean Kemp. Those were all the all-stars that were taken after Larry Johnson. But then you also have Greg Anthony. Greg Anthony was who I was thinking of, and I don't know why I couldn't put that together, because Cole Anthony is in the league right now. And he also taken after him was Rick Fox, Stacey Augmon, the Plastic Man, who was his teammate, and Luke Longley, the Australian GOAT. And all that being taken into account, if not for his injuries, Larry Johnson's back injuries, he could legit be in that borderline legit Hall of Famer. How many All-Star teams did Larry Johnson make in his career? Larry Johnson he was a two-time All-Star, 92-93 and 94-95. Yeah, I feel like he was, because of the fact that also people had that bias of his college career. He is a barbershop all-star. Plus also Space Jam. He was in Space Jam, and he was the Purple Monster. That's whose talents was taken by the Purple Monster, Larry Johnson. I'm gonna put him in the barbershop all-star, but he may be like top of the barbershop all-star or bottom barbershop all-star top solid player. In 5 years, we will consider Cole Anthony top 3 out of his draft class. Maybe. He plays in Orlando, so you got to take that into account also. Maybe. I'm not sure about that, but he is actually really good. I will say that 100%. So now we go into Shaq. And I picked this picture of Shaq for a reason, because first of all, what is that? What is that? Why does he have a hoop earring? And this is his legit picture from the 96 season. Like the year before he went to LA. This was his team picture. He had a hoop earring on. Why is that hoop so big? That looks like a leftover hoop from Kazam, bro. Like, what is that? Like, I'm so confusion by this hoop earring. And I'm like, I was going through, so Getty Images, side note, is one of the greatest places to go if you want to look at random NBA pictures. Like, because they'll do photo shoots and whatever, and the pictures that they have there, like, they're so random and like off the wall. Like, everybody after this video, go look up Kevin Garnett, go look up Joakim Noah, and look up Allen Iverson just for the fashion choices. We'll get to Allen Iverson also, but yeah. Shaq's GOAT tier. Like, Shaq is actually GOAT tier ahead of David Robinson. But he's behind Hakeem because Hakeem beat him in the finals. Even though Hakeem has only 2 chips and Shaq has 4. I did the quick math real quick. He's in GOAT tier, unequivocally. My only problem with Shaq is that with Shaq, outside of the 2000-2001 season, I never ever felt. Scott said Dante X in the Aussie GOAT. Get out. Leave. Go leave. No. Don't go leave. Go. I never really felt outside of, the 99-2000 season, the season that he won MVP, that he ever really felt like he had the killer instinct, of course, but like he was completely content with playing in like 85% of his potential instead of being like, let me go full on every single night. He was cool with just like, I feel like Bill Simmons said it best. He was a 4.0 potential athlete, but was completely fine cruising with a 3.0 and partying and having fun. And that is exactly what Shaq's entire career was like. But you look at the accolades, 15-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ, 4-time NBA champion, 14-time All-NBA, 3-time All-Defensive. He was a 3-time All-Star MVP, 3 times Final MVP, Rookie of the Year MVP. And I wish that we got 99-2000 Shaq for even 10 straight seasons. Like, he would unequivocally be the GOAT. Scott has him his second best center of all time after Kareem. Again, this man right here made him look silly. And that's and like Ric Flair said, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. And that is exactly what Hakeem did. Other guys taken ahead of him. Not that there's really any player that you would take over Shaq, even in a redraft. Alonzo Mourning, who played with Larry Johnson. Christian Laettner, who was the villain of college basketball. He's like this. He was the final villain for a bunch of years of college basketball. Jimmy Jackson, who played with Jamal Mashburn and Jason Kidd. There was a whole thing going on with that situation and that breakup. That's hilarious. Tom Gugliotta. Was he really an all-star? Hold on. What year was he an all-star? He was an all-star in 97. That's crazy. He was solid. Like, he was solid on the Timberwolves and everything, but I would have never thought he was a all-star. Malik Sealy, R.I.P. He played for the Timberwolves. Let me see who else is here. Hubert Davis, who played on the Knicks. Doug Christie, Latrell Sprewell. You're not supposed to coach. You're not supposed to choke your coach. You're not supposed to do that. That's not what you're supposed to do. Point blank, period. But yeah, you don't take any of those players over Shaq. Point blank, period. So now Chris Webber. Chris Webber is probably the second or third most polarizing player on this entire list. This is not me putting him in borderline Hall of Famer. Put him off to the side a little bit just to talk about him. Something Happy Gilmore would do. I look at the 93 draft, and I mean, there's a bunch of players in the draft that were really solid. Penny Hardaway, Jamal Mashburn, J.R. Ryder, Ben Baker, Bobby Hurley was better in college, Allen Houston, Sean Bradley, the Blue Monstar, Sam Cassell, Nick Van Exel. Dude made Team USA look like a joke in high school. It wasn't high school. It was actually his freshman year. I mean, his freshman year. So, fun fact, what Grant Wolf is actually talking about is the scrimmage that Team USA had with the Dream Team had with the college players. And it was the top college guys. Because that team was theoretically speaking supposed to be the actual college team that would have gone to the Olympics if they didn't have pros going. Him, Bobby Hurley, who else was on that team? I feel like Jim Jackson was actually on that team also. They had about 10 really good guys who would be better suited to go in retrospect, because they ran up the Dream Team just ran up the score on the Olympics. I would have liked to see Chris Webber get his Olympic ring. If Fultz keeps doing what he was doing before he got injured, he may become an all-star 2 or 3 seasons. Facts, and I'll talk about him when I get there. Chris Webber can be top of barbershop all-star, bottom of borderline Hall of Famer, top of borderline Hall of Famer, bottom of legit Hall of Famer. All of those places are a legitimate place for Chris Webber, and it just really depends on how you view his career. Do you view Chris Webber as in a bubble of just like a really good player, 5-time All-Star, rebounding champ, Rookie of the Year, 5-time All-NBA? You look at that, he's a borderline Hall of Famer, like bottom of the borderline Hall of Famer, top of barbershop All-Star. But if you look at his career as like what actually happened, like if you look at it under the microscope, he had his years in Golden State where he had beef with Don Nelson, and then he went to the Bullets where he was really good, but like his team didn't win even when they brought Juwan Howard in. Then you look at Sacramento, and then he was really, really good. And, obviously this guy's team right here, really, Shaq's team really messed that up. But I'll put him at the back end of borderline Hall of Famer. And even though he is going to be in the Hall of Fame this season, there's a reason why, or this year, there's a reason why it took him so long. And it's aside from like even all of his off the court and like his things with Ed Martin and like the money scandal and the timeout and all that. It just said, like Grant Wolf said, he didn't reach his potential. And I don't even think it was because of the competition he faced. I feel like the player that was supposed to develop, he was a 6'9", 6'10" forward that could handle the ball. He could shoot. He was crazy athletic. And he mustered five All-Star teams and didn't become an All-Star until 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years into his career. Like that, a type of player with that skill set should not have taken, or excuse me, he got his first All-Star in his fourth season and then missed it the next 2 seasons. And the reason why is because at the end of the day, he just didn't live up to his potential talent-wise. That's my personal opinion. But with that being said, he's like top of barbershop All-Star, bottom of borderline Hall of Famer. It's my personal opinion. All right. So moving on to the big dog, Glenn Robinson, 1994. I play video games. What's good? You haven't been here in years. It's been 10,000 years. What's good? Glenn Robinson, the big dog, was a forward. He had a really versatile game. He was a shooter. And I feel like if you know Glenn Robinson, you put him in barbershop All-Star, like bottom of barbershop All-Star, top of solid player. Because he was on those really solid Bucks teams and then also those Hawks teams. And taking a look at his stats, he's definitely also better than his son was. He's a 2-time All-Star. He won his ring on his way out with the Spurs, and he was a 1994-95 All-Rookie team. That's basically it, though. But he was a solid 20 point per game scorer for multiple years with those Bucks teams with Ben Baker. And if the team won more, I feel like you almost have to look at him like, oh my God, like he could have been so much better. I may actually know. He's going to be at the top of solid player. I thought about it. That's where he's going to go. He's the top of solid player. And that's basically it. Guys that were taken ahead of or after him, guys like Jason Kidd, Grant Hill, Juwan Howard, Eddie Jones. I would take all of those players ahead of Glenn Robinson. Trying to see who else was taken. Tony Dumas, who was in the All-Star team. I think his nickname was the Rocket. Charlie Ward, who played with the Knicks. And Bashawn Leonard, who went to high school with Jalen Rose. Completely random players. Moving on. 1995's number 1 pick, Joe Smith. Is the 37-inch vertical for a 13-year-old good? Yes, it is. For sure. It's good. It's really good. Don't worry about that. Just whatever you're doing, keep doing that. Point blank, period. So, Joe Smith. He's going directly into players that 2007 Eddie Curry could beat. And he was not good. He was taken out of Maryland after his sophomore season, and he was taken by the Warriors. The Warriors could have had Antonio McDyess. They could have had Jerry Stackhouse, Rasheed Wallace, Kevin Garnett, Theo Ratliff, Michael Finley. Those are all the players I would have taken over him. I might have taken Kurt Thomas over him also. But like Grant Wolf said, he was a solid role player, but that's it. Especially when you look at a lot of the players taken below him. Brent Barry. I would have taken Brent Barry over over Joe Smith. I feel like he was solid enough for me to justify that. He won the dunk contest in a warm up. But yeah, I feel like 07 Eddie Curry is completely demolishing Joe Smith. I mean, he had a really long career though. He played from 95 to 2011 and was never not with the job. Like there was never a time like he was overseas or anything. Like he was there the entire time. He was a trade chip for multiple teams though. Like I remember he was circling around in a lot of rumors, especially once he got to Detroit. He was circling around in a lot of rumors. Moving on. This guy right here. This man? Hold on, let me fix the this man right here, the answer. His shoes were the question. His name was the answer. And I picked this picture for a reason. And the reason why was because of the jersey. Now, the jersey is that throwback Wilt Chamberlain era jersey with the 3, like the giant number and like the Phila or the 76ers for the away. And I don't know what you want me to say about him. Except that he's not in GOAT tier. He's not. He's not in GOAT tier, and bite me on it. He is not in GOAT tier, but he's at the very, very top of legit Hall of Famer. And the reason why is because if we look at like his transcendence to the NBA, like beyond the NBA and the way he brought hip hop culture into the game, by all means, he is GOAT tier and probably is number 1. But if you look at his actual game, he had an inefficient game. And of course, that didn't lead to winning outside of the 1 year they made it to the finals. And a lot of people say he didn't really have a lot of help that year. He had the defensive player of the year. He had the sixth man of the year. And he had the coach of the year. Like, you can't really, like, he was going up against Shaq, and Shaq was on a tear that year, and they weren't going to lose. But, like, at the end of the day, he didn't really make his teammates better. He was very ball dominant. Analytics don't really like him either. But yeah, he's still a legit Hall of Famer. Now, chat, I want you guys to answer this question for me. Who was a better player, Allen Iverson or Dwayne Wade? And I want to hear what you guys think on that one. Smith was dude that handles for days and still kept going on the Nuggets. He did. And that team, all right, so that team was the most goonish team ever. They had AI, Carmelo Anthony, Kenyon Martin, Marcus Camby, J.R. Smith. Those were some goons. That was a goonish squad. I love that. I would put him in between. I mean, like, he's in that range of like legit Hall of Famer GOAT tier. I once picked up a girl by saying I have a 9 in my hands and I got 9 in my pants. At the end of the day, he didn't practice. Wade. All right, so Wade is the correct answer. Because even the way Wade elevated his teammates, I personally believe that it's Wade, but a lot of people, because especially when you were growing up in the 2000s, like I did also, you have this bias of Allen Iverson being probably the coolest player ever. And he is. He is like, now LJ is like top 25. Allen Iverson may actually be number 1. And if not number 1, like top 3 to like George Gervin and Dr. J. But yeah, I feel like Allen Iverson was such a cool player on and off the court. And even now, like, he's still bringing up rookies and talking about the younger guys, where a lot of old head guys, like this guy right here, being a straight hater, he gives them that credit. And that's what I like about AI. Like, he's always just been that humble guy. Uh, just wanted to be a hooper. But at the end of the day, I think I'm gonna put him at legit Hall of Famer. That Hall of Fame speech though, yo, I saw Mike and he had this aura and like I was like, man, and I was like, he had the Jordans on. It was by far the funniest part of that speech. But yeah, his speech is goated. So here's my contestation of whether or not, because I have Allen Iverson is basically the pinnacle legit Hall of Famer, and he's got an MVP and Ewing doesn't. Would I say that Ewing is a better player than Allen Iverson is? And that's basically where I have to sit. Because like if I say Ewing is better than AI, then that kind of puts him in that GOAT tier. I can't justify putting Allen Iverson in that GOAT tier though. I'll come back to it. That's basically where we're at with that right now. So now we have a guy that we're not gonna get any arguments. He's in the GOAT tier. I can just say GOAT tier and move quite frankly just right on. Timmy, this kid, this guy right here. This guy right here. Best power forward of all time. Fight me. I want somebody to bring up Charles Barkley. I want somebody to say Karl Malone. And I'm just going to tell them they're wrong and keep moving. He's the GOAT. He is the GOAT power forward. Put him right next to his teammate, but like ahead of him. Duncan would get 20 and 5 blocks without anyone knowing. Facts. Like, and that's kind of like where a lot of the issues with his game are, is that like for him at least, I'm putting him above Shaq. Because I feel like he was legit giving me buckets every single day. Like it's close though. It's very close. I'm 5'11", his AI 6 foot, and he be doing windmills while I'm he was crazy athletic though. The Magic 30 for 30, this Magic moment is great. I agree. I highly recommend that. Yeah, like Tim Duncan, he also flirted with a 5x5, and it doesn't really count. But that's neither here nor there. Tim Duncan right there. All right. Some of y'all about to be real mad at me, but it must be said. In retrospect, if you look at both careers, Tim Duncan's career is better than Kobe Bryant's. I had to hide as soon as I said that. Because Kobe fans will tell you otherwise. But in retrospect, he had the better career. He was the better talent as far as the system, playing in it, everything. That's all. I want to know who else. I feel like 97 is one of those drafts that there weren't a lot of players in it. Chauncey was taken in that draft. Tracy McGrady, Keith Van Horn, Adonal Foyle, Scott Pollard, and his hairstyles throughout the years. Facts. Steven Jackson was also taken in that draft. Who else? That's it? That's all really big players. Let me see. Oh, God Shammgod also. Yo, look up God Shammgod's highlights at Providence. Do yourself a favor. Who's the better coach, Phil or Greg Pop? I feel like Greg Popovich. And it's only because when you look at the development of Kawhi Leonard, Like Michael Jordan was already the player that he was. Kobe Bryant had the work ethic to be it, like the player that he became. You look at Kawhi Leonard, the way that the Spurs developed him through coaching and mentorship, and the way that even the coaching tree, the coaching tree of Greg Popovich versus Phil Jackson. Like Greg Popovich's coaching tree, that's Mike Budenholzer and like Monty Williams. Those guys are like legit coaches that have had crazy success elsewhere. Now I'm not saying that the coaching tree of Phil Jackson hasn't had a lot of success, but I feel like even now, like there are more guys who were Phil Jackson guys, like Ime Udoka. There are more guys that are Greg Popovich guys than Phil Jackson guys. Wiggins, we didn't get to. We're in 1997. We didn't get to Wiggins yet. Nash robbed one of Kobe's MVPs though, and he robbed Shaq's MVP the other year. Nash is in the top 15 point guard. Hot take. He's top 10. And I would say that he didn't rob Shaq. Shaq won his one. He didn't do enough to really justify. He robbed Kobe though, for sure. Shaq though, I feel like, and I assume that you're talking about his second one or his first one for Nash. I feel like that's a KG MVP that he robbed, not a Shaq MVP. Yeah, let me actually make Danny Manning a little bit bigger because he's looking kind of small over there. Okay. Michael Olowokandi, the Candy Man. All right, so I'm gonna level with you real quick. Michael Olowokandi should never have been taken number one. He went to Pacific, and like, who do you know outside of Michael Olowokandi that came from Pacific? Like, who? That should have been the big warning sign right there. And you look at the guys taking after him, Mike Bibby. I take I'm gonna cap and say Ray Fence, but I wouldn't take Ray Fence ahead of him. Anton Jameson, I would have taken ahead of him. Vince Carter, White Chocolate, Jason Williams. I'd take Larry Hughes over him. Dirk, Paul Pierce, Rashard Lewis, Skip to Malou, Rafer Alston. I might take him over him. And Brad Miller. Brad Miller has the most least look like of a basketball player, outside of like Kelly Olynyk. But Kelly Olynyk looks like a 70s basketball player, so not really. It's still Brad Miller. Brad Miller and Alex Caruso. And there's not actually another player on this roster, in this actual draft. All least look like an NBA player. Nash is just John Stockton or CP3, but minus the defense. I disagree. I feel like Nash is a better shooter than both of those guys. And as far as like his vision went, he was a really good facilitator of the offense. But if you're saying that he's just John Stockton or CP3 but minus the defense, those are both top 10 players or top 10 point guards or top 10 point guards. So, like, what can you really say? But yes, Michael Olowokandi, he got dunked on by Amari Stoudemire. He's going straight into players that 2007 Eddie Curry could beat. These are all the guys that Eddie Curry could beat. those guys over. Okay, so now Elton Brand. Elton Brand is interesting. Elton Brand was drafted by the Bulls and then traded to the Clippers, and then he played for the 76ers for a while. He signed there, but he had like injury issues also, like in the back end of his career. And then he was a keep getting them checks guy for 4 or 5 seasons. Like from like 2010 to 2016, he was a straight keep getting them checks guy. I thought Kelly was a girl his rookie year in his photo in 2K. That's a fair enough point. With his long hair and everything, yeah, he looks like yeah, I don't know. All right, so I'm not shaming him or anything, but like the way his facial structure is, it kind of bugs me out just a little bit. Cause like it looks like his face is really long, and I don't know. But Elton Brand was a 2-time All-Star. He was All-NBA in 05, 06. He was All-Rookie, and he was the Rookie of the Year. But I don't know if he was good enough to be bottom tier barbershop all-star, even though his post work definitely had people like, yo, if the Clippers got him a team around him, like they'll make a legit push. But I don't ever feel like that was the case. I feel like, especially since he was never like that two-way player, I don't think that Elton Brand, like you could not win a championship with Elton Brand as your best player. And that's why they lost so many games. But there's also that picture of him, Q Rich, and Darius Miles that I think about a lot, where they like switch jerseys. It's random as hell, but I do think about that picture a lot. But yeah, I'm gonna put him in the solid player category. He's at the top of the solid player category though. I feel like he did do enough, and he put in his dues, and he did what he was supposed to be in that tier. All right. So that's the 90s guys. The 90s guys, there were 2 GOATs. 2 in the GOAT tier, Shaq and Tim Duncan. 1 legit Hall of Famer in AI. 1 borderline Hall of Famer in Chris Webber. 1 barbershop all-star. 2 barbershop all-stars in Derek Coleman and Larry Johnson. And then you had a bunch of solid players in Elton Brand and Big Dog Glenn Robinson. And then you've got 2 trash guys. I know that there are a lot of like underrated players taken in the 99 draft. Yeah. 99 draft was actually super deep. Was Brand on the Clippers team with Sam Cassell that made a playoff run? That was what, 07? I believe so. I believe so. Yeah. 06. Yeah. I just had to double check. I had to mentally, yeah. But again, like they made that run, but I never really felt like they were the best team. Like it looked like, first of all, it looked like the best team was probably going to come out the West. I mean, was going to come out the East, or was going to be the Mavericks. The Mavericks were basically steamrolling over everyone that year, or the Suns. That was the year the Suns were really good, and I think that would have been a really good learning experience for them to bounce off of that, but nothing because they were the Clippers, exactly. But other guys that were taken in the draft was actually really solid. I may actually do the drafts, like a tier list for the drafts next week. But Elton Brand, Steve Francis, Baron Davis, Wally Zerbiak, Lamar Odom, Rip Hamilton, Andre Miller, Sean Marion, Jason Terry. Why don't we talk about the 99 draft? Corey Maggette, Frederick Weiss. Oh, Frederick Weiss. Like, I had never seen somebody get dunked on so bad that they didn't want to play for a team. Like, Frederick Weiss got dunked on by Vince Carter so bad that he didn't want to go to he didn't want to come overseas and play in the NBA. He was like, this is what they're doing in the NBA? No, I don't want that problem. AK-47. Somebody, I don't know who was talking about him, but we got to talking about Devion George randomly as hell in one of the streams, I think last time. And of course, Manu. Manu really should have gone number 1, Grant Wolf. That's the number 1 pick. I may also do a redraft. But Sean Marion is one of those players who definitely has that game. If he comes 10 years later, Sean Marion is multi-time All-Star. Like, I know he made a couple All-Stars, but like, I feel like he's top 10 type player if he comes and is drafted in 2009 instead of 1999. But yeah, I'm gonna do a redraft also. Stay tuned to that one as well. You like when I play Knockout City? Knockout City is a Big Wheel Wednesday thing. So I have all the games that I play not 2K on Wednesday. Next stream should be a redraft. Next big, I may do a redraft. Either I work my way backwards from 2011 or I move like from the draft lottery down, because like I don't think anybody really remembers. Like, I remember a couple of players from like the 80s and whatnot, but I feel like it would be better to go backwards. But anyways, let's talk about the 2000 draft and how terrible that was. And Kenyon Martin in this specific picture, so I was looking up the pictures, and let me actually zoom in. He fake looked like Joe Budden in this picture. Like, not even trying to be funny. He really looks like Joe Budden in this picture to me. But Kenyon Martin is actually a solid player as fuck. Mainly because he got Trina's lips tatted on him and then removed it, or got it covered up with a crown. That is primarily the reason why he is a solid player. But even like looking at his career, it was solid player. Like, I don't think that he was ever, like, when he was on the Nets with Jason Kidd and Keith Van Horn and Kerry Kittles, obviously that team was looked at as a team that really should have gone to the finals, and not only gone to the finals, won the finals. They made the finals run, but they should have won in the finals. He was an athletic big, always tapped the glass. Very, very, his potential wasn't reached. But like, then again, nobody really in the 2000 NBA draft, like, their potential wasn't reached. Kenyon Martin was taking over Mike Miller. He was taking over Darius Miles, Stromile Swift. He was taking over Chris Mim, Jamal Crawford, Jamal McGlory, Desmond Mason, Hudo Turkoglu, Jason Collier, Q Rich. This draft was like real mid. This is the most mid draft ever. Michael Redd, Khalid El Amin, who was best in UConn. Very, very, very mid draft. And Ime Udoka, who was better as a coach than he was as a player. And Brian Cardinal, can't forget that. Can't forget Brian Cardinal, the janitor, the custodian. Brook Lopez went back to his Nets days against the Hawks. He wasn't a deadeye necessarily from three, I wouldn't say, but he did have the stroke, and he was one of those players that was able to consistently knock in your threes. But yeah, I'm gonna put him in the solid player category. I think that's where he kind of fits. These are basically all the. Let me actually move him ahead so like he can be over him. Like, this is like if you're a 2-time All-Star, 3-time All-Star, you're in the solid player category. Excuse me. Now let's get into Kwame Brown. I picked this picture of Kwame Brown for a reason. I'm going to zoom into the picture of Kwame Brown. And this picture of Kwame Brown indicates to me that him and Ben Wallace played at the exact same time. And they looked like they were basically really close friends. He looks like he missed the shoot for the 05 Pistons when they did the shoot with all of them with the afros. That's what this looks like. Also, he has his own tier. Now, his tier is the Kwame Brown tier. Technically speaking, because he's under players that 2008 Curry could beat, he would be below this. But this is actually a very polarizing tier. It's him by himself. He's the only one there. And he wants all the smoke. Legitimately popped up on multiple players this season and was like, what's up? Like, I'm here talking about it. He's talking his ish, and he definitely, for real, wanted that smoke. So he get put in the solid. He's a theoretical post career solid player guy to me. It's Kwame Brown. I'm actually gonna put him at the very end, and I'm gonna extend him large enough so that he covers 3 different tiers, because that's exactly what his 2020 has pushed him to. He's 3 different tiers. It's Kwame Brown by himself. But the 2001 draft was also just notably bad. It was solid, and it was better than 2000. But like it was a weird draft at the time because it was a lot of polarizing players who kind of did things that, you know, previous drafts didn't. So you got like Tyson Chandler, who was a real rim running player, but like he really got better the older he got, and then he got to Phoenix and then kind of fell off a cliff. Ben Wallace is my favorite center to watch during the Pistons 2000s run. I don't know why because he was tough. He was Detroit tough. That's why. Pau Gasol was the European, and he was not Dirk because he had a little grit to him, but he also had a full post game. And he had that passing prowess also. He's a very underrated passer. Pau Gasol is. And he also was they had a similar game in the sense that they were both shooting big men who played in the post, but Pau Gasol plays in defense also. Eddie Curry was taken in this draft, but like 2000s Eddie Curry, not 2007 Eddie Curry. He was goated. Jay Rich was taken in this draft. Shane Battier, Joe Johnson, Vladimir Ivanovic. Vladimir Ivanovic, for those who don't know, he was one of those buckets in 2K. Like I remember 2K3 and 2K4, he would not miss. You could get Vladimir Ivanovic and he would not miss. And I'd be like, yo, what is this? Why is this a thing? So he's a 2K GOAT. RJ, Richard Jefferson, of course. Jason Collins, who came out famously about 10 years ago. 10 years ago, that's actually crazy. That was almost 10 years ago. Towards the end of his career, of course. Zebo, Zach Randolph, Brendan Haywood, who played a bunch of years. Crash Gerald Wallace, Jamal Tinsley, Tony Parker, Trenton Hassel, Gilbert Arenas, Mehmet Okur. There's a bunch of really good players that they could have taken, not named Kwame Brown, the Wizards. But I also feel like if Michael Jordan ruined Kwame Brown, he didn't want the smoke, but that's also what prepared him for the smoke that he was looking for this year, and then going to play with Kobe Bryant. Like, people really talk about Kwame Brown like he was this crazy bust, and to his credit, like, for his career, he was not a player that lived up to his potential. But at the end of the day, he played 12 years in the league. He got the most important part of the NBA career out of the way, which was making that second contract. You make that second contract, and because your first contract in the NBA, that's your, oh, I just got drafted, I'm 19, 20, 21, 22, I'm balling, let's buy my mama house, let's buy as many people as I can cars, let's go crazy. And then the accountant tells them like, yo, chill out. That second contract though, that lets people know that first of all, you have enough game to stay in the league. And also that you're viewed as a commodity enough to get paid multi-million dollars even after the shine of the apple is worn off. So with that being said, Kwame Brown, he was a solid player in retrospect. Maybe not a player that 2008 Curry could beat, but also a player that 2008 Curry could beat. And of course in the Kwame Brown tier. He got like 6 points, 30 rebounds, and 10 blocks. Yo, Ben Wallace on fantasy though was crazy. Ben Wallace was legit a joy because he would get those rebounds, he would get those blocks, and he'd be like, it is what it is. But he would also be like a second or third round pick. He was never a first round pick because you didn't want to, especially if you were playing with the free throws and everything. You didn't want to do that. But like you get him in the second, third round, balling. Joe Johnson could have been the Suns version of Kobe if they used him right. If they paid him his money. If that's really what it was. It's not that if they used, like, after they made it to the final, after they made it to the second round in 05, they should have paid him. 06. They should have paid him. Point blank period, they should have paid him. Brown ruined himself for being soft. And now he's not. He's not soft anymore. He's like, yo, what's popping? But yeah, that's Kwame Brown. Yao Ming. Yao Ming, to his credit, Yao Ming is probably the most broken player on 2K. As far as like legit, not based on talent, but just like players that actually kind of play like themselves, but like at the same time don't play like themselves at all. Yao Ming, that is Yao Ming in 2K. I was Yao Ming in 2K6. That was Yao Ming in 2K8. That was Yao Ming in 2K10. That was Yao Ming in 2K11. Yao Ming in 2K11 was the most broken player I have ever seen in my life. That is the smallest photo. I have to like fit everything in. That's why. Also, Yao Ming looks like a stern dad. In every picture he's ever played, like taken in the actual game, he looks like a stern dad. I don't think I've ever seen him like really not look like stern dad. Or look completely, like in his younger days, he always looked really lost on the court. But like once like 05, 06, 07 hit, then he was like, nah, this is me. I'm supposed to be here. Other guys taken in the O2 draft, Jay Williams, the analyst Jay Williams now, Mike Dunleavy, crazy shooter, Drew Gooden, and his facial hair. Scott Pollard and Drew Gooden were having like a worst facial hair contest, and I think Drew Gooden won it. Nene, who I think just retired this year. He retired last season. Like, he was playing for years. Stat, Amari Stoudemire, Caron Butler, Jared Jeffries, who got a bunch of money from the Knicks. Tayshaun Prince, Carlos Boozer, Dan Gadzuric. I haven't heard that name in years. I remember he was also on the Knicks, but I remember him mostly on those Andrew Bogut Bucks. Yeah. I think that Yao, when you're looking at his entire career, he's borderline Hall of Famer. He's legit Hall of Famer. He's legit Hall of Famer. I think that he's a legit Hall of Famer, and just to rattle off a couple of his accolades, he was an 8-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. He was All-Rookie. Who was Rookie of the Year? That was a stat. Yes, that was Rookie of the Year. Okay. He was the All-Star every year he played, even though he should not have made the All-Star team in 2010 or 2011. Point blank period. But he was a baller. Like, and if those foot injuries hadn't have gotten to him and T-Mac wasn't injured, like both players weren't injured upon delivery to the 2009 Rockets, they probably would have won one. They probably could have stole. They could have stole 20. They could. All right. So if they keep that team healthy, if that entire team is healthy, they could have stole 2011. Like from the Mavericks. I feel like they could have stole that. That's just my opinion. That's just how I feel. Moving on. LeBron James. Now, most of these pictures of the guys, especially on like GOAT tier and legit Hall of Fame tier, I picked for a reason. And the reason why I picked this picture is because rookie LeBron has a backwards cap on with his Cleveland Cavalier jersey. And I saw this picture and I instantly thought of this game called NBA Ballers. And it was made by Midway Games. And what's crazy about this specific look is because his hat is also really big. Like, I don't know. Like it was this real wild game. It was dope. And he looked like he was in like just straight out of this game. Like he took that picture and then went straight to NBA Ballers. No, Billups was on the second one. The first one was Stephon Marbury. But yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. But he looks like a player in that game. The issue with NBA Ballers though was that the mechanics of the game, especially when compared to NBA Street and NBA Live, just didn't really stand up. And even though it was a really good game, I feel like it was overshadowed by NBA Live, NBA Street, and even ESPN NBA Basketball with Ben Wallace on the cover. Yeah, bringing it back to Ben Wallace. So it's gonna slide a couple people down. Just gonna slide them down. Just gonna slide a couple people down. Gonna make him a little smaller. We're just gonna slide him a little bit further over. Yeah. I don't think that there's much real argument. Do not put him in front of Duncan. All right. Okay. Here is my argument to where I'm putting, or why I'm putting LeBron James right here. LeBron James as a talent is perhaps the best player I've ever seen play the game of basketball, not named Michael Jordan. I'm in the camp. I mean, no, like for real, there's some people who legitimately don't think that LeBron James is like top 5. They think that he's like, they also think, some of y'all about to be real mad at me, but it must be said, Kobe Bryant's career is not better than LeBron James. I love Kobe Bryant. I promise you, I love Kobe Bryant. It's not better than LeBron James. But yeah, that's where I completely like feel like he is probably the top, if not number 2, then top 3. That's it. We'll talk. You guys know what the 03 draft looks like. I don't really need to go over. I don't need to go over his accolades. LeBron James has, realistically speaking, though, one ring. All the rest of his rings don't count. He had the Mickey Mouse ring. He had the ring because Kyrie bailed him out. Then he had the ring that he had the ring against a really young Thunder team, and Harden bailed him out because Harden played like trash. He's one ring. It's the ring against the Spurs the second time. I mean, the first time, excuse me, because they didn't win the second time. And it's not because of Rihanna, no. But like, for real, like, LeBron James started playing in 2003. I was 9 years old. I am now 27 years old, and he's just now slowing down. Moving on, Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard is, I feel like I'm getting into a lot of polarizing guys. I'm gonna get into a lot of polarizing guys. Dwight Howard, legit Hall of Famer. He's a legit Hall of Famer. And he was he was in borderline category before last season. He had to make it right with the Lakers. Not necessarily he had to win the championship. He had to make it right with the Lakers. No, but the fact that he bought into the role of being this backup guy. Because a lot of guys, the hardest thing that you have to do as a player, and Allen Iverson went through this and he did not really adapt well, is realizing that you are slowing down as a player and adapting to a bench role. And that is what Dwight Howard did. He did it masterfully once he got to the Lakers. Like that's this 1 year, and then now even in Philly, he was a really good backup. Like to the point where like he's definitely gonna get some money. And rattling off his accolades, Scott already did it. 1-time dunk champ, 2-time block leader, 5-time rebound leader, all rookie first team, 5-time all defensive team selection, 3-time DPOY, 8-time all NBA team selections, and 8-time all-star. And he also is the reason why we didn't get a Kobe LeBron finals. But that was more so because of LeBron. But yeah, that 2009 season, Kobe definitely should have had a LeBron final. It would have been great. But also you look at a lot of players. You look at a lot of the players in his draft class. Emeka Okafor, who was a big man who got paid for a bunch of years. Ben Gordon, straight bucket. Sean Livingston, another straight bucket. He was a straight bucket before he got injured. Devin Harris, I forgot Devin Harris made an all-star team. Not even gonna hold you. Josh Childress, top 10 Afro. Hold on one second, guys. Like I said, I feel like I'm really sick. I sound like I'm dying here. Luol Deng is to this day playing 48 minutes a game for Tom Thibodeau. To this day, he's playing out the rest of his career straight through right now. Andre Iguodala, we know about Andre Iguodala. Andres Biedrins, he was the big man. He played for the Warriors. Robert Swift is. Go look up Robert Swift in his rookie year, and then look at Robert Swift his last season before he left Seattle. Did Howard get really hurt, or it was a combination of both? He got hurt, just the continuous back injuries, and then also now that he's 35, wow. Almost 36. He's turning 36 this year. Like, he's a lot older. But even, like I said, his last 4 or 5 years, he kind of welcomed this more bench role. He bought in. Chris Humphries, Chris Kardashian, Al Jefferson, Josh and J.R. Smith taken back-to-back. Darrell Wright, who was on those Grizzlies teams. I remember that. Not those Grizzlies teams, excuse me, the Blazers teams. Yeah. Then you got Al Jefferson. Al Jefferson is criminally underrated. Jameer Nelson, his teammate. The Magic really did really good that draft. They got Dwight Howard and they got Jameer Nelson. Really good. Especially when you look at the 20th pick. They could have gotten Kevin Martin. I would have liked to see Kevin Martin and Dwight Howard, but that was basically what they did with the 2009 Magic when they surrounded him with a bunch of shooters. They would same thing. Yeah, and so he's a legit Hall of Famer. He's a legit Hall of Famer over Yao too. With that being said, he's also first ballot. He's a first ballot Hall of Fame, point blank. D12 also all-time leader of all alley-oop finishes, probably why he has back. Yeah, that makes sense. Ben Gordon playing on the Bulls, he would average like 12 in the starting lineup and 40 off the bench. Ben Gordon was a microwave beyond microwave. Like, he was a straight shooter, and oh my gosh. Like, even when he was on the Bulls, and then like that 1 year in the Hornets, and of course that Tyrese Thomas trade, that really messed up the not the Hornets, the Bobcats. Straight like that. Kevin Martin, yes. Straight hooper. Kevin Martin looks like Michael Carter Williams' older brother. He also looks like Tyrese Halliburton's older brother. Andrew Bogut. All right. So if you don't remember Andrew Bogut, or you remember him from the Warriors, or you remember just his injuries, you would say that he was a solid player. Barbershop All-Star. Andrew Bogut does not have the accolades as far as like the All-Star appearances and everything, and that was more due to the fact that he was always injured. He's a Barbershop All-Star. He's at the back of the Barbershop All-Star because people consistently always were like, yo, if he gets healthy and he gets a team around him, like, the Bucks were just really injured during that time, because that was also the time that Michael Redd was on the team. He's at the back of the Barbershop All-Star to me. And if he was healthy, he probably would have been a higher Barbershop All-Star. He would have made an All-Star appearance. Because those teams are really, really good. And then, of course, he went to... I didn't realize they got traded after his Warriors run 3 different times. He got traded to Dallas, and then got traded to Cleveland, and then I got traded to Lakers, and then back to Golden State. And in that span of time, he played 62 games. That's why. Okay. And that's over 4 seasons. But yeah, Andrew Bogut is, again, probably he's probably a lot higher and more well known as just like that Warriors, the Warriors center from the first championship, if he was healthy more and he didn't play in Milwaukee. What are Bogut's career averages? 9.6 points, 1.5 blocks per game, 8.7 rebounds, 6.2 assists. That sounds like bust potential, but like the way he anchored those Bucks defenses. I'm willing to fight this fight. I'm willing to fight the Barbershop All-Star fight for Andrew Bogut. He wasn't a bust. He was just always injured. However, you look at the guys taken after him. In this respect, he's a bust. Darren Williams, Chris Paul. I wouldn't take Raymond Felton over him. I wouldn't take Charlie Villanueva over him either. Andrew Bynum, you got more out of Andrew Bogut than you did out of Andrew Bynum. I remember Sean McCants and Sean May. Raymond Felton, Sean May, and Rashad McCants and UNC looked like they were going to be all-stars for multiple seasons, and none of them were. Danny Granger, I would have taken over him. I wouldn't have taken Gerald Green over him. Nate Robinson, I wouldn't have taken over. I would have taken Nate Robinson over him. So Jarrett Jack is actually still in the G League. He's in the Ignite, and he played with Kuminga and Jalen Green. And I was like, Jarrett Jack, what are you doing here? Like, I feel like Jarrett Jack at 30. Oh, he's 37. Never mind. He's just out here chilling. He's just glad to be there. Never mind. Yeah, I felt like Jarrett Jack was like solid enough. Like, he had that game that wasn't really athletic based. He could have probably played a couple more seasons in the league. David Lee, I would have taken over him, obviously. They paired together in Golden State. Brandon Bass, aka Draymond Green's doppelganger. I wouldn't have taken him over him. CJ Miles, no. Ronnie Turiaf. I would have taken Monte Ellis over Andrew Bogut. And I know they were traded for each other. I would take Monte Ellis over Andrew Bogut. Lou Will's still in the league right now. This was the last high school draft, right? Yeah, 05 was the last high school draft. And Marcin Gortat. Jack was a 50 play. Like, yeah, he had that hustle. Like, I liked Jared Jack. Jared Jack was a solid backup guard for a bunch of different teams. I think that was solid. But, yeah. Andrew Bargnani. Andrew Bargnani is at the back of solid player. He was not a bust. He just wasn't the player that Toronto needed him to be. He wasn't a bust. He scored 19 points per game one year. He scored 21 points per game one year and then scored 19 points per game the year afterwards. Like, were those 07 Eddie Curry years? I don't necessarily think so. I think that for Andrea Bargnani, he's solid. He's at the back of solid. I wouldn't consider him a bust. Like, if you look at the players taken ahead of him, yeah, LaMarcus Aldridge, you take over him, but you don't take Adam Morrison over him. You don't take Tyrese Thomas over him. Sheldon Williams, that was Candace Parker's. No, sorry. No, I'm bugging. Not the case. Oh yeah, that was Candace Parker's husband. I thought I wasn't bugging. Yeah, like, I mean, he wasn't good. Brandon Roy, you take over him. Straight bucket. Randy Foye, you don't take over him. Rudy Gay's still in the league. You may take him over him, possibly. Depending on, like, if you like inefficient buckets. Sheldon Williams was Duke center, yeah. JJ Redick, I'd take JJ Redick over Andrea Bargnani. Even though JJ Redick has never given me 20 points per game, he's giving me 18 points per game. He's been a solid scorer. I take him over Andrea Bargnani, but, like, you take less than Rajon Rondo and Kyle Lowry. Like, you take maybe and Paul Millsap. You take 6, maybe 7 players over him. He's not a bust. And there are more players, like I said, Adam Morrison, Tyrese Thomas, Sheldon Williams. He's a solid player. He's not a bust. I can't call somebody who gave somebody, like, if you say he's a bust, then you got to say that to every single player that he gave 21 a game to. Point blank, period. And that's all I have to say about that. Greg Oden, he is also a solid player. And, yeah, Sheldon Williams, yeah. He's also a solid player. And his issue is more due to injuries. Matter of fact, let me actually look at his stats. Like, as a talent, he was a solid player. And, of course, you look at the guys taken after him. Like, yeah, of course, he's a bust. He played 3 seasons. I have to put him in players that 07 Eddie Curry could beat. I'm sorry. I tried to make the case for it. I can't. Like, I really wanted to make the case for 07. For Greg Oden, but I just wish that he gave me something. The what if with him, for real. The what if with him, low-key makes him a barbershop all-star. But not like an all-star, like, oh, like he's a GOAT in the barbershop. It's more so like him, guys like Len Bias, Derrick Rose, Grant Hill. We talk about, yo, they could have been you hoopers. You go into the barbershop. But when you got a guy he plays 3 seasons, and Kevin Durant, Al Horford, Mike Conley, Joakim Noah, and Marc Gasol are all taken after him. Like, even like the bench guys, like Jeff Green is one of the most he's one of the more polarizing players, because, like, I always feel like he's got that extra gear and he never actually brings it out. Corey Brewer was really solid in Miami. I mean, in Florida, was solid in the Mavs. Brandon Wright, same thing, was really solid. Spencer Hawes was a hooper. He was a hooper on those Philly teams, like with his mullet and everything. He was meant to be the next Baby Shaq. Yes, he was. Could 07 Eddie Curry beat him? Yes, and the reason why I say that is because if it's going to 21, first of all, they're both big men. He gives them enough moves. Like Eddie Curry's like his whole knee comes apart. I don't think that Greg Oden could beat Eddie Curry unless he's healthy, and history's shown he was more unhealthy than he was healthy. So he's got to be in the players that 07 Eddie Curry could beat category. Derrick Rose. Moment of silence for Derrick Rose, guys. Like straight up, moment of silence for Derrick Rose. I remember those Derrick Rose Bulls. Those were some of my favorite Bulls ever. 07 was the first draft that you paid attention to, Grant. First draft that I really, really paid attention to was 07 also. Yeah. The KD draft. Rose is a borderline Hall of Famer. He is a borderline Hall of Famer. And if he can ever, all right, so to me, because he won an MVP, his accolades would be good enough to make an MVP. I mean, make a Hall of Fame. It would take him a couple tries, but like he would eventually get in. I don't know. I'm just really sad because Derrick Rose was, 22 when he won his MVP? He's 22 when he won his MVP. And we were like, yeah, we gonna get this for the next 10 years, bro. It's gonna be great. Same thing with Grant Hill. We were like, it's gonna be great. He's gonna hoop. But Grant Hill obviously gave us more All-Star appearances. Derrick Rose has only given us 3 All-Star appearances. And just makes me sad. I need him to win. I need him to just ring chase. Just 1 year. Give me 1 year of ring chasing so he can be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I promise you, especially the way that the Hall of Fame is set up, there isn't an MVP who hasn't made the Hall of Fame. And Rose hasn't gotten there yet, obviously, but yeah, there isn't an MVP that hasn't made the Hall of Fame. And if he had a championship, like that would completely solidify his case. That's first ballot, even with the injuries, because that would essentially be the same as Bill Walton. One second, sorry. Honestly, he may get, I think that he'll still get in on the longevity cause because he has scored at least 17 points per game. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Like, I feel like that's good enough to make a Hall of Fame with his MVP and his All-Star appearances. Yeah, I just need him. I just want him to ring chase. Just one year. Just can he ring chase so I can be happy for him, like in a different type of way, because he finally got over it. And he's always been a player that played with so much emotion that like the emotion he would have gotten. First of all, if he would have won it with Chicago, that emotion would have been crazy. Like with that Luol Deng, who's still playing right now. He's still playing out his 2013 minutes for Tom Thibodeau. His 2013-2014 season minutes, he's still playing those out right now. Those are owed to Tom Thibodeau. He needs to get those paid. So Luol Deng is still out there. Joakim Noah, Jimmy Butler, who was really young. Like that team would have been great. I would have loved to see it. Yeah, he's borderline Hall of Famer. Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin is an interesting one because he's one of those players whose entire reputation or his entire legacy is going to be based off of what he did on the court. Like when you have a guy like Blake Griffin, he came in as a highlight reel out of Oklahoma, and they were like, yeah, you know, he's gonna be this dunking machine for the next 10 years. And for all intents and purposes, he was that dunking machine. He was Lob City. He gave us buckets, and then he kind of I was gonna say he would, because Grant Wolf said it. Griffin could not shoot the first part of his career, could only do lobs. He was mainly an athletic big man. He never got the real post game, unfortunately, but also he did add this element of playmaking that made him really, really intriguing for multiple seasons, especially when Chris Paul was dealing with his injuries. Like, I feel like Blake Griffin really stepped up to be like this fake playmaker. And he was a double-double machine for multiple seasons. I think that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 All-Star teams, 5-time All-NBA. I put him right behind Chris Webber as a borderline Hall of Famer. That's where I'm gonna put him. He's so. With that being said, Chris Webber is unequivocally a borderline Hall of Famer. Blake Griffin is right behind him. I'm actually going to move. I'm gonna put him over James Worthy. I'm gonna move Derrick Rose ahead of him, even with just the 3 All-Stars. And that's based on legacy, talent, and respect. So that's where we're looking at right now. All right, that was the 2000s. The 2000s were a lot more like middle of the pack guys. We had one go-tier guy in LeBron. We have 2 legit Hall of Famers in Dwight Howard and Yao Ming. Derrick Rose is a borderline Hall of Famer, as is Blake Griffin. Andrew Bogut is barbershop All-Star. Andrea Bargnani and Kenyon Martin and Elton Brand, all solid players. Players that 07 Eddie Curry could beat. It's just Greg Oden. And then Kwame Brown is in the Kwame Brown tier because he wants all the smoke and he's ready for it. He's with whatever. He's in all 3 tiers. He supersedes the tiers. Can't believe Anthony never went number 1. Carmelo Anthony? Are we talking about Carmelo? Which Anthony are we talking about? Yes, the 2000s NBA. That's the 2000s number 1 picks. Now the last decade. John Wall. Now I picked this picture of John Wall for a reason. If you've seen the picture, it's the picture of him and like the rest of the Wizards. Antawn Jamison is still there. Gilbert Arenas is ready to collect his check. I think Kevin Severfin is in the picture also. Yi-Jan Lin is in the picture for sure. But it's of John Wall doing what was known as the John Wall dance. And the John Wall dance basically looks like, let me see if I can back up a little bit. Just to see if I can do it. Let me get the right angle. It's basically, this is the John Wall dance. And the reason why this picture is is used is because John Wall, for him to have a dance, there's only one picture of him doing this dance. And John Wall is definitely barbershop all-star tier, for sure. He, as far as I know, is not a blood, even though he did do, I know what you're talking about when he made the bucket. And also, side note, this is for real. Free Britney. Free Britney. We're not playing around with that. He's one of those players that always seemed to, if he was healthy, would be the type of player to be a top 3-point guard in the league. And he kind of proved that. See, John Wall is the perfect example of he's underrated until he's overrated. Like when he was on his rookie deal, and even like that first season of his second deal, everybody was like, yeah, John Wall, let's do this. And then he started getting injured, and then the Supermax kicked in, and then everybody hated John Wall. Like Wizards fans hated him. Bradley Beal was low-key beefing with him. Like it was really, and it was funny because Bradley Beal was originally the injury prone guard in that backcourt, and then it shifted to John Wall. Yeah, and then like Scott said, like he was an all-star starter, and he's a 5-time all-star, and now he's an injury prone guard. And where John Wall never learned that 3-point shot, I remember there was one year he shot like completely trash from the field. Yeah, he shot 7% from the 0.07. Yeah, 7% from the 3-point line one year. And I was like, yo, that's not real life. His problem was, again, like he was underrated until he was overrated in his injury issues. At the end of the day, 5-time all-star. 5-time all-star puts him in like the middle of the pack barbershop all-star. I'll actually I'm clicking on OBS and I'm like, why isn't OBS, like why isn't it switching around? Because it's in OBS. I'm gonna put him as a middle of the pack barbershop all-star. Like right here. That's where John Wall goes. Right behind Ralph, exactly. That's John Wall's place. And I think that at the end of the day, especially if he comes back healthy and gives us one more solid season, like he's never not averaged, outside of his first season he averaged 16.4 points per game. In the second season he averaged 16.3. After that, 20-point scorer, or between 18 and 20-point scorer every single season after that. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, that's barbershop all-star quality. Yeah, his defense is really good. Facts. Now that I'm getting into like the 2000s, like the late 2000s, a lot of people are now more invested now. Kyrie Irving. I picked this picture of Kyrie Irving specifically because I wanted to talk about sleeve jerseys real quick. Sleeve jerseys, and I feel like I remember this from multiple teams. If you were a rookie and they wanted to show off your sleeve jerseys, like the new team sleeve jerseys, they put them on the rookie. And I felt like that was rookie hazing. I know Harrison Barnes did it that year. I know that I want to say Dame did. Dame did not do it. Dame was like, nah, fam, that's not what's about to happen. I'm trying to think on who else I remember. Like the younger guys, like they legitimately put their younger guys for publicity photos in the sleeve jerseys. Hilarious. Honestly, I actually like I like the sleeve jerseys. I wasn't a hater of Curry did, but I know Harrison Barnes was in the primary like photos for the sleeve jerseys. But I like the sleeve jerseys. I was actually a pretty huge fan of them. Just the designs. Like they took what they took the design, and this is actually low key what got Adidas removed. Low key. And they switched over to Nike like 2 seasons after. But yeah, the problem was that a lot of bigger players did not fit in the jerseys, and the way that it messed with a lot of players' shooting motions, X, Y, and Z. I get why, but like we've had shooter sleeve like if it wasn't so tight, like if it was a looser jersey, kind of like a regular like a t-shirt almost, I feel like that would have done so much better for the players as opposed to having like the real tight spandexy jersey. Because I do remember he like literally pulled his jersey and was like, "Yo, this is too tight. I'm 275 at this point. Get it off me." Oh crap, I completely forgot about Anthony Davis. Let me quickly just, not that I forgot about him, like for whatever reason the picture didn't transfer over. Momentary break. Matter of fact, I'll talk about Anthony Davis, and I'll talk about Kyrie Irving, and then I will also talk about where I put him and where I think he should be. I think that Kyrie Irving's legacy is definitely marred by the stops that he had in the fan bases that had beefed with him. Like when you look at like his stop with Cleveland at the very end, teams definitely like he was tired of Cleveland and he wanted to be the man, of course. And I understand that, but like at the same time, you're not that guy. You are not a the man guy. You are a number 2 guy. You're a really good number 2 guy, but you're not a number 2 guy. You're not a number 1 guy. And he went to Boston and really wasn't that guy. And I think that at the end of the day, like if he wins a ring with the Nets and continues to make all-star teams, of course, he could legit be in that legit Hall of Fame category. I think for me though, I'm going to put him as a 7-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA, 2013, 2014 All-Star MVP, Rookie of the Year, and he won the ring with the Cavs. I wish I could use his excuses to not show up to work for my job. That is a fair assessment. Facts, honestly. So that being said, I think that I'm going to put him in. If I put him above James Worthy, y'all gonna be mad at me? When I'm looking at it, I'm like he hasn't been the best point guard in the league, or maybe even like top 3 in the last like 4 or 5 years, but like as a talent, sure, I like that. Let's see who else was taken behind him. Derek, like all of the players except for Kawhi Leonard and Klay Thompson. Matter of fact, nah, yeah, he's definitely borderline Hall of Famer. I'm gonna put him right behind James Worthy. That's what I'm gonna do. I was gonna say, no, again,
Finals MVP don't mean nothing to me because Andre Iguodala has one. It means nothing right now. Like, that just means that you were the best player for 4 to 7 games on your team and you won. And sometimes that's not even the case. Yeah, I'm gonna put him right here. He's definitely borderline Hall of Famer for sure. I think that's where he belongs. All right, AD. Let me put together this quick photo of AD. Real quick. I honestly I didn't realize that I forgot about him until like that's not gonna work. Screw it. Can I just find a photo? Where's his official NBA photo at? Let me just use that. I wanted to find a photo of him in the Pelicans, but for whatever reason, I could not find a photo of him on the Pelicans as like a PNG. Like I wanted a pre-made PNG because I didn't really want to do that. Oh, here's one. And I wanted like a younger AD also. I'm choosy, and I wasn't prepared. Real millennial activities. Okay. This one looks like it'll be fine. What's good? Like, I literally, like, it's... This photo just basically told me I don't have the facilities for it to move it or anything. Like, what is going on with this photo? Okay, there we go. Watch it take his hair off. I knew it was gonna take his hair off. I knew it was gonna take it. Get the quick selection tool. It's because he's like also wearing this white shirt. Y'all have to excuse me. I really apologize for forgetting about. I forgot about Day. I think I should be. Did it take his hair off again? No, okay. All right, so it's a really bad job, but like it's also to my advantage that it's also very similar. Like his jersey and everything is similar. Okay. AD really could be all these players, all these places. Depending on now I can't move it. I don't know what is going on right now with this photo. We were going so well. But like now it's not letting me move it. Screw it. We're just gonna get this and we're just gonna have to call it a day. I don't have the time to fiddle with it. It's AD. You know who he is. Anyway, Anthony Davis. Where does he fall? Right here. Realistically speaking, like right here, like right in this area, but like 3 or 4 spaces. What is going on? I have a question. Who do I think are the 5 best European in this season in the NBA? This season, the 5 best players were Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Bojan Bogdanovic is like 5. Rudy Gobert's 3. And who else is really like? I know there's somebody in between Bojan Bogdanovic and Rudy Gobert, because like it was 1, 2, 3, and then there's a drop off. Oh, Nikola Vucevic. Nikola Vucevic is a hooper this year. And then, matter of fact, no. No, because I think that Domantas Sabonis is boring here. If not, then he's 5. Yeah, he's born in Portland. So, yeah, at 5, I have Bojan Bogdanovic. All right, we're gonna try this one more time. I'm gonna get one more different picture for this, and then I'm just gonna call it. It's the NBA picture. This is actual NBA Lakers picture. Cool. It's him. So Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is extraordinarily intriguing. Why did they choose black? Like, I promise you I can't see his actual hair. It is like this is hella close into his head. But I just wanted to get it real clean, real quick. As clean as I possibly can on stream while also talking about him. He got him a little like an up tempo, like I super rushed this, but I just needed to get the point across. We're gonna minimize it anyway. Anyway, yeah, he's borderline Hall of Famer. He has played like the second coming of Kevin Garnett multiple times in his career. I think that there isn't a player in his draft except maybe like my problem with Dame and Bradley Beal is they're both hoopers, but at the same time they don't play defense. Draymond Green, same thing. Chris Middleton is currently the best shooter in the NBA. Let me rephrase that. He is the best heat check guy as far as like shooters. Not like, oh, I need to get 30 points. Like as a heat check guy, like the role that Klay Thompson used to have this role where like if Chris Middleton is hot, I'm like, yo, Chris Middleton is hot. That's where Chris Middleton is right now. And I'm really happy for that for him. And I hope that they actually get the ring so he gets that credit. Anthony Davis, his complete accolades, read off like legit Hall of Famer right now. He could retire right now and be a legit Hall of Famer. 8-time All-Star, 3-time block champ, NBA championship, 4-time All-NBA, 4-time All-Defensive, 2016-2017 All-Star MVP. Here's my problem with Anthony Davis, and it's the problem that everybody has with Anthony Davis. You're not getting 80 games out of him. You'll get 7. He's played more than 70 games in his career twice. But the fact that he won and made it to the top of the mountain, I don't care if it's a Mickey Rouse ring. He is. Oh, y'all gonna be real mad at me in this one. Y'all gonna be real mad at me on this one. He's in legit Hall of Famer. Why do we add a? Yeah, he's in a legit Hall of Famer. So I can't move anything now. AD messed up my chart. Yeah, AD legit messed up the chart. Like single-handedly messed up the chart. And I'm very confused as to how that happened. But yeah, I feel like his legacy is to the point now where, because he's won that NBA championship, this is not Anthony Bennett, obviously. We're talking about Anthony Davis. I think that, okay, I think I fixed it. Okay. Yeah, y'all about to be real mad at me. At the end of the day, even the players in this category, 8 years into his career, he's better than Yao. His career has gone better than Yao's has. He's done more things than Yao has. His career has gone better than Dwight Howard's has. If he had, all right, level with me on this one. He's on Allen Iverson's ass. Pause. As far as like my rankings for them. And the reason for that is because if he has a healthy season, if he had a healthy season last year, he probably could have won MVP. And then what could you really say AI has over him? A scoring title, he's got multiple block championships. Like, he's a better, like, Allen Iverson was a good two-way player. AD is a better two-way player. He's better at offense. I mean, he's better at defense, even though AI is better at offense, but it's not a huge drop-off to the point where, like, I can be like, oh, that's blasphemous. That's a barbershop talk. That's a real barbershop talk. That's the conversation. Is AD? Do you guys think AD is better than or AI is better than AD? And if so, why do you think that is? Meanwhile, Kwame Brown is just he sits there. AI has that crossover. Change that real quick. That's basically where it is. Do you think that AI's off the court? Because again, we're talking about strictly on the court stuff. His on the court performance, AI's that is, does it beat out what AD is doing and has done over the last 10 years? And it's really close. It's really, really close. Anthony Bennett, though. See, Kwame Brown's tier is his own tier because he's a three-pronged tier. Anthony Bennett is at the bottom of players that 2007 Eddie Curry could be. Anthony Bennett should not have been number one pick. Anthony Bennett, at the draft, knew that Anthony Bennett shouldn't have been the number one pick. We'll do the redraft on Anthony Bennett. So all right, so I'm gonna give you guys the top 5 pick, and because you forgot somebody, Grant Wolf. You forgot a couple people actually. It should have been Giannis. I would in a redraft. I feel like there is no argument from anybody that Giannis should have gone number 1. Number 2 though, Rudy Gobert. I would take Rudy Gobert over CJ McCollum. I would take him over Victor Oladipo, who I have going 3, and then CJ McCollum going 4. a lot of people feel like all right, so I'm gonna take Tim Hardaway Jr. at 5, Michael Carter Williams at 6. And the reason why I would take Michael Carter Williams at 6 is because, yeah, he's in that draft. Michael Carter Williams really being traded from Philadelphia really messed up his entire psyche. I feel like when he was on the team, he wasn't the best player on the team. I mean, he was the best player on the team because the team wasn't winning. Fine, but like, get him the time and get him the runs to properly develop his game and gain that confidence. Like the team, like he was the best player on the team, but they weren't winning. And then you were like, well, let's trade this guy. I'd internalize that as I must not be good. And that's kind of what Michael Carter Williams did in all the stops he's done since then. Orlando, Chicago, Milwaukee. Like, I feel like his psyche was messed up by being traded. I feel like if he stays in Philadelphia, if they continue the process with him, like, I feel like that'd have been fine. Or just not take him at all. Go with Giannis. Imagine Giannis, Embiid, and Ben Simmons. Y'all not gonna like why I put Ben Simmons also. I feel like you're really not gonna like it. But yeah, I think that Michael Carter Williams definitely, his whole psyche was messed up. Anthony Bennett though, I know that we like players, like people always joke like, oh, I could beat that player in an NBA game. I don't think that I could beat Anthony Bennett in an NBA game, but I feel like like in a game of 21, but I feel like I can get the necessary stops. Like, I feel like if I outran him, I could beat him in a race. 100% could beat him in a race. Like, without question. Like, I feel like he's not conditioned enough. I feel like, yeah, I could beat him. That was probably the worst picks in the draft in the history of the NBA because Rudy and Giannis were low picks. Like, again, Anthony Bennett did not think that he was going. Nobody had Anthony Bennett going number 1 at all. Wiggins. Wiggins is a barbershop all-star. At the back of the barbershop all-star. No, he's ahead of Andrew Bogut. And it's completely, like, he is a barbershop all-star in the sense that, like, when you go into the barbershop, if you were to talk about, is Andrew Wiggins good? You'll get, like, a bunch of different answers. I watched Timberwolves games when he was on the team. I've seen him shoot. I watched him on the Warriors. He's solid on the Warriors now. I don't know if Andrew Wiggins is good. But I know that people are going to argue on whether or not he's good. 100%. Coming out of that draft, like that 2014 draft was something crazy. Like I remember like rigging for Wiggins, mishandle for Randall, play poor for Okafor was the next year. Like I remember how like everybody was like, oh, this is a game changing draft. Everybody was like, yo, this is 03 part 2. Honestly, it wasn't. Like the players were solid that were taken. I'm really sad that Jabari Parker never panned out to be that player that he was supposed to be. Aaron Gordon, same thing. Like he just never developed that jump shot, even though he's still in the league. I've now gotten to a point where with Jabari Parker, because he'll end up on a random team every single year. If he's on a team and it never fails, like last 4 or 5 seasons, there'll be like a random story, like Shams will post it or Woj will post it, and I'll be like, oh, he's there? Like this season with Jabari Parker this season, he was on the Celtics. And I was like, he was there? Last season, he was on the Kings. And it was a random story that Woj posted on Twitter, and he was like, Sacramento Kings forward, Jabari Parker will not play this game, XYZ. And this was post-pandemic. And I was like, do the Kings know that Jabari Parker's on their team? Because I didn't know. I don't think anybody knew. Mind you, nobody's really watching Kings games, but like, unless you're a Kings fan, but like, anyway, getting back to Wiggins. That draft was stacked. Maple Jordan was supposed to be everything, and the best player in this draft might actually be Zach LaVine. And as late as, Embiid is in this draft. I'm bugging. Embiid is the best player in the draft. The second best player in this draft might actually be Zach LaVine. I'm still capping because I forgot that Nikola Jokic is in this draft. Completely forgot that Nikola Jokic was in this draft. I thought he was taken in the draft before. This is actually low-key a really good draft, but not in the ways that we thought it was. Joel Embiid, MVP type caliber player. Nikola Jokic, MVP player. Both of them were in the MVP race up until the very end this year, and obviously Nikola Jokic won the MVP. Zach LaVine was taken, and he was taken at the back end of the lottery. He wasn't like a rhyming, like tanking team prospect. I still remember the video of him getting drafted, and he was basically like, "Fuck me," because he was going to Minnesota. It's Minnesota, understandable. Julius Randle was probably the only one out of those big four, because Embiid was a anomaly, and we were like, "Oh, is he going to be healthy?" But outside of Wiggins, Parker, Gordon, and then himself, he was the one who emerged as the best player, and that's kind of interesting. I don't know what happened to Wiggins' career, though. His entire career fell off a cliff. He's a barbershop all-star. Yeah, for sure. Zach LaVine is a poor man's version of Derrick Rose. Zach LaVine he's 6'6". He is a legit scorer. He's like really poor. He's poor. He's poor man's Tracy McGrady. Especially this season. He's poor man's Tracy McGrady. So Karl-Anthony Towns. Now I picked this picture. Some of these, like I said, I picked multiple pictures for a reason. This picture, same thing with Wiggins. Is Karl-Anthony Towns the best? Like, can you win a championship with Karl-Anthony Towns? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I wholeheartedly don't know if Karl-Anthony Towns could be the best player on a team that went to championship. I do know that Jimmy Butler completely cooked him. I know that he made him look wild silly. I do know that those Prince Wolves jerseys are top 5 jerseys in the last, like top 5 brand new jerseys in the last 10 years. I don't know if you could win a championship with Cat as your best player. With that being said, he's behind Derek Coleman in Barbershop All-Star. I don't think that you could win with I personally don't think, like, he's in his 6 seasons, he's a 2-time All-Star. He was 13 once. This entire draft is actually weird now that I'm looking at it. Karl-Anthony Towns, Jahlil Okafor, and Kristaps Porzingis. Those 3 big men were all looking really good that first year. And then by year 4 for all of them, completely fell off a cliff. Jahlil Okafor flamed out basically like that second year. He was looking unhealthy, came to camp, all that good jazz. Jahlil Okafor completely was the first one to be trash. Kristaps Porzingis played really good those first 2 seasons, but then he was also injured a lot. Then he got traded to Dallas. completely fell off a cliff. I'm not even sure. Yo, people are like, I don't even know what Kristaps Porzingis' value is right now. Just imagine you had Towns, Wiggins, and Levine on a team. Just imagine you had Towns, Wiggins, and Levine on a team with Chris Dunn, who honestly should have been better. And you had KG mentoring them, and nothing. It's Minnesota. You don't win in Minnesota. I'm completely certain that you don't win in Minnesota. Mario Hezonja. I remember everybody was talking so much about Mario Hezonja. Like as this Croatian mystery man. Like the reputation that Kristaps got after the draft, Mario Hezonja got before the draft. Like, oh, he's gonna be like this game-changing, like Jordan-like talent. I'm like, no, he's not. He's athletic, yes, but like I don't think that he's not that guy. That Kentucky year was weird. That was the Karl Anthony Towns, Willie Cauley-Stein, Devin Booker year, and that was a weird year. And Trey Lyles was there also. Forgot he plays with the Spurs. I can't forget him. But because that was the year they went to the finals, and the UNC haircut. I mean the Duke haircut was also a thing, and they lost to Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker. In Wisconsin. I remember that finals. Anyway, is Karl Anthony Towns a borderline Hall of Famer? No. That's not his position. His position is actually right next to Derek Coleman. Him and Derek Coleman they're looking like they're gonna have the exact same career. I don't know if he can be the best player on the team. He hasn't shown it yet. Point blank, period. Let me switch over Bargnani. I don't really want to do that. Y'all know it's Bargnani. Okay, so we got 4 more guys. It's entirely too early in Ant-Man's career to even see. I couldn't even tell you. What's good, Drippy? How you doing, man? Nice of you to pop in, regardless on how many streams you missed. I always appreciate anybody who pops in and just says hi, especially if you're a multi-time guy. I feel like Towns would have a being kind of career if he was on a big market team. He doesn't play defense. He's not a good defender. If he was on a big market team, I feel like Karl Anthony Towns might not actually be built for the big stage, like as a number 1 guy. I legitimately feel like that's the case. And that's really starting to affect him. And he's starting to notice it also, but he also wanted to be loyal. But he was like, at least can I get one of my guys there in Minnesota? If I'm not going to be the guy, can I at least have my guy there and we can have fun in Minnesota? Because what else am I going to do there? There. And you remember from another team, I don't think much of it. Yo, there's so many Philly haters. I remember because you were hating heavy on Philly, and I'm like, yo, why are you hating on Philly so much? You said it multiple times, especially during last series. Didn't like it. But to be fair, and this guy is the big reason why. Benjamin Simmons. All right, I'll ask a question. If Ben Simmons was a 6'9" forward instead of a 6'9" guard, or 6'10", 6'11", how tall is he? 6'11". He was a 6'11" forward instead of a 6'11" guard, would we be giving him so much shit? Like, for real. Like, if he was just like, I'm going to be a power forward, and that's the position I want to play. I was a guard when I came out of LSU. I was 6'8". Now I'm 6'11". I'm 3 inches taller. My jump shot mechanics are completely off. I can't make free throws. I'm going to be center, but I'm going to be a facilitating center or a facilitating 4. Are you mad at that? I'm not. I feel like he should just really be like a second playmaker as a 4 and not be a point guard. It's because he's a point guard and point guards are supposed to shoot that we have this real big schism and thought process behind him. He's less talented than Elton Brand is. I think that but how many centers does he really have to guard though? He has to guard Jokic, he has to guard Embiid, and if you play power forward and center, like if you have Embiid at the 4 and Simmons at the 4 and Embiid at the 5, that solves your problem right there. So he doesn't have to guard Embiid at all. He'd have to guard AD. He'd have to guard maybe like 5 or 6 more players, and that's it. Outside of that, like and DeAndre Ayton, I feel like he can guard Zion Williamson and other smaller guys than him. I think that I'm moving Elton Brand up to solid the top of solid play to the top of Barbershop All-Star or bottom of Barbershop All-Star. He's at the top of solid player. Oh no, he wasn't actually in there. Like it was just me. This is just where the default is. Also, welcome to the stream, G. Cole. Yeah, because he's a smart player. He's a really good defender. He's a good playmaker. He can rebound well for his position, and even at the 4 position, he does all the good things that you want him to do on the defensive and facilitating front. I'm dropping Mark Aguirre. I'm putting Mark Aguirre. Well, Mark Aguirre didn't really belong there. Ralph Sampson is right here. He's the top of the Barbershop All-Star. Then it's John Wall. Then it's Brad Daugherty. Then it's Derek Coleman. Then it's Cat. Then it's Mark Aguirre. Then it's LJ, Andrew Wiggins, Bogut. No, I'm dropping back down. I'm dropping Elton Brand back down. I had to think about it for a second. I was like, can I justify it? No. I'm gonna drop him back down. He goes back to where he was, and then we shift everybody back down. Cool. Because I think that again, like if he was like we only give him shit because he's a point guard, and if he was a facilitating 4, like a point forward type of thing, like we wouldn't really care. All right, Markelle Fultz. He's very solid. He's not a barbershop all-star by any means. Yet. After his run in Philly, and now in Orlando, he's developed, as long as he can stay healthy, a new refined confidence that makes him a very intriguing player. Like I think that he's at the end of I think that Barg is better than him. Especially since I have all we have is what he's shown, and I think that in a couple seasons, especially if he can stay healthy, he may actually move into barbershop all-star category. I think that his Hall of Fame run though is completely gone. Like I don't think that there's any possibility for him to be a Hall of Famer. Which makes me sad because when he was in Washington, he was this dynamic bucket, and he lost all confidence, and his shooting mechanics are all messed up now, and It's unfortunate. So, yeah, I think I'm going to put him in solid player. DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton, legitimately speaking, before the start of the playoffs, was in solid player status. He's now in the back end of barbershop. He's in the back end of barbershop all-star, especially after his playoff performance this year. It's not on a borderline like a contract year or anything. So Chris Paul really awakened him into something new, and I think that if he continues on this trajectory, we're not gonna forget that Luka Doncic and Trae Young were taken ahead of him, but it may be a Hakeem situation. Not to say that they're on the same level. No way. I'm not making that comparison. They're not on the same level. But there could be a legitimate opportunity for him to be at least worth the number one pick, even with those three on the board. Because for the most part, like you do draft for team fit, and with him, he fits that team now that Chris Paul is on the team. I don't think that I feel like the team is a completely different, they have a completely different trajectory if like Luka Doncic and Trae Young are on the team. Like if they're on a team together, especially with Chris Paul, that's two ball handlers, two score first guys, one person that plays defense. You can't really do anything with that. So, with that being said, I have him as a barbershop all-star. Make him smaller. Last guy, because again, it's entirely too early. It's still even really early for Zion, considering he hasn't even played a full 82 game season. But I want to talk about his draft day suit. It's a terrible draft day suit. It's like top 3 worst draft day suits. He looked like Seal. He came in with this cream colored suit. He looked like a Caribbean father, like he's gonna drop a soul or soca R&B album, and was dead serious because he also has that face, that old man. He has that older man face. He has that black father face, that old black father face. I wasn't sure about Zion, especially like with the injuries and everything. And then like 10 games in, I was like, his first game, I was like, 10 games of the first season, I was like, he may have something here. And then Point Zion came out, and again, trajectory is still early. I don't think that it's too early to say anything, but the way that his career goes, if he can continue on this level, he's in borderline Hall of Famer. But at this current point, I'm going to put him ahead of Larry Johnson. I'm going to move Ralph Sampson up to borderline Hall of Famer. I'm gonna move John Wall over. Move the rest of these guys over. And I'm trying to think of, is there anybody who I can make a legitimate case to move? And I don't think so. I don't think there's another player that I can make the legitimate case to move. Elton Brand is better than Andrew Bogut. I feel like that's it. Yeah, that's what I said. Like before, like after the draft and when he was sitting, I was a little shaken. And I said, as I said, 10 games in, I was like, nah, we got something here for real. And I'm really happy that he's recovered. And not only that, he's flourished in a way that is exclusive just to him. I don't think that there's another 6'7", 285 guy like LJ and him. LJ, Zion Williamson, and Anthony Bennett are all, theoretically speaking, built exactly the same. Anthony Bennett is worst case scenario. Larry Johnson is the framework outside of the injuries. Zion is best case scenario. That's what he's looking like, best case scenario. I just hope he can stay healthy, and I need the Pelicans to figure out whatever the hell they're doing with him, Brandon Ingram, and get them. They need to get Zion to play defense. That's the only thing that I have as a knock on his game. Get him to play more defense. But outside of that, I don't really have any other qualms about his game. I think that he's a really solid defender. He's a solid guard. I mean, not solid defender. He's a solid dunker. He's improved on his shot. He looks good. He may be worth it for sure. I like actually a lot of the players in this year in last year's draft. Like a lot of them are looking really good. Ja Morant looks really good. RJ Barrett is looking really good for the Knicks. DeAndre Hunter is looking really good for the Hawks. I'm worried about Darius Garland though, for sure. Definitely worried about Darius Garland. Jarrett Culver being in Minnesota also worries me. I'm pretty sure that may give him bust potential. Kobe White. I mean, but he's the lead guard, and he's the lead guard on a Bulls team that has Zach LaVine as the off guard. I don't know what we do with that. I'm not sure, but yeah. Cam Reddish has been balling. He was balling and like the entire season. I've liked Cam Reddish. Rui Hachimura, same thing. If the Wizards can get some defense, like Thomas Bryant going down early really messed them up. Tyler Hero is Tyler Hero. Everybody knows about Tyler Hero. PJ Washington is really solid in the Hornets. It's a really solid draft. I like it. But T. Thibault needs to learn how to shoot. But this is the list. GOAT tier is LeBron James. LeBronald, Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon is the second in GOAT tier. Third in GOAT tier is the big fundamental Timmy. I wanted to figure out before I got here which nickname I was gonna use for Shaq. I'm just gonna go with the Big Shaqtus. Such a terrible name. And the Admiral David Robinson are all in GOAT tier. I feel like you can't be in GOAT tier or a legit Hall of Famer unless you have a really good nickname. And that's why Patrick Ewing can't be in GOAT tier, because he didn't have a good nickname. Sorry, Patrick. AI, the answer is he's second though, in legit Hall of Famer. AD the Brow, D12 is Superman. Who y'all think is a real Superman, Shaq or D12? Yao Ming is the end of legit Hall of Famer. Borderline Hall of Famer. I need him to make one more All-Star appearance so I can get him into that legit Hall of Famer category. But D Rose is right there until further notice. James Worthy, big game James beyond after him. Kyrie Irving, C. Webb, Blake Griffin, Ralph Sampson. Ralph Sampson is better than Blake Griffin. Ralph Sampson is also better than Chris Webber. It started off really early. I think that like Ralph Sampson came in at a really early time. I like him there. I can't put him higher than Kyrie though, because at the end of the day, Ralph Sampson, he didn't play enough, and he didn't play enough at a high enough level, long enough for me to get it over there. John Wall is in the Barbershop All-Star. He's the lead Barbershop All-Star. Brad Daugherty behind him, Derek Coleman, then Cat, then Mark Aguirre, Zion Williamson, Grandmama, Andrew Wiggins, Maple Jordan, DeAndre Ayton. If DeAndre Ayton gets all he needs is like 115 point per game season, and he might be better than Andrew Wiggins. But that is the whole point of Barbershop All-Star. Those guys are shifty enough where you can either put them in solid player or borderline Hall of Famer, depending on who you talking to. Solid players, though: Elton Brand, Andrew Bogut, Ben Simmons, the big dog Glenn Robinson, Danny Manning, Kenyon Martin, Andrea Bargnani, Markelle Fultz, and the players that 2007 Eddie Curry could beat: Purvis Ellison, Joe Harris, the Candyman Michael Olowokandi, Greg Oden, Anthony Bennett, and Kwame Brown, because he's in a tier of his own, Kwame Brown. All right, everyone, do you guys agree? Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm going to actually break this down into a shorter video, because I know this is like 3 hours long. It's crazy. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell icon. Join the Penny Face Squad. If you like the builds, check out the builds. If you like Monday, Wednesday, Friday streams, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, go check them out. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same time, same place, same face. Yeah, currently I've got the Draft Lottery Pick Build Series going on for my builds. Cade Cunningham came out today. I've got Jonathan Kuminga coming out. Jonathan Kuminga came out yesterday also. Jalen Smith. And possibly Jalen Suggs. If you want to vote on the poll, go vote on the poll right now. Jalen Suggs and Evan Mobley are currently going back and forth. I haven't actually checked to see what the results are on that, but that's who are embroiled in my poll for the day. Jalen Smith, Jalen Green. Evan Mobley is up right now. Currently, that could change. Yeah, appreciate everybody who popped into the stream, chatted with me, gave me a nice long talk. This stream was so long. Anyways, I appreciate you all, and I hope that you have a good day and win forever.